Hello and welcome to the channel, I'm Jay, and I think the Xbox 360 had some of the best peripherals of any console generation ever. Now let me back that up. Every year, me and my friends get together, here, usually in my kind of nerdy man cave, to play retro games and just reminisce. And we've been friends for years, going back to school. This year, I decided to double down on an Xbox 360 and bring some of that era of gaming back to them in a way that they probably hadn't experienced for many years. And I went on a bit of an eBay deep dive and spent more than I probably should have on games and accessories to bring that to life. What I thought I'd do in this video is show you some of the cool stuff that I bought, what we did with it in terms of how much fun we had or didn't have with it, and some of the games that I bought to complement those peripherals. So let's move down to that end of the office where I've got a whole pile of plastic waiting to go, and I'll take you through it all. So here we are, the other end of the room, where it's going to be much easier for me to pick up and show you the variety of plastic that I have here. I'm going to throw some B-roll over the top of a lot of this as well, just to give you, a better perspective of what is here. And I'm going to start with probably the most iconic and well-remembered peripherals of the Xbox 360 era, and that is Guitar Hero. As you might imagine, we played the hell out of that back in the day, and it's a game series that I now own all of the mainline games in, both PS2, Xbox 360, and even the Nintendo DS little handheld, which is for another time. We bust out the drums, the guitars, and we had a good old time with Guitar Hero. And I wanted to show you one of the things that I used for that. Now, I've had this one on the wall for quite a long time. Many of you will have noticed it in the background of videos, and that is this. This is the Xbox 360 Logitech Guitar Hero accessory. Now, this is more than a plastic peripheral. This is a proper guitar body, if you like. It is heavy, it is weighty, it is significant in length.
That's what she said.
It has the little fretboard, or the little sort of, I don't know what you classed it as back in the day. You've obviously got the classic Guitar Hero buttons, the strum bar, and all that good stuff. This is one of my favourite pieces from an accessory perspective. I love playing Guitar Hero with this, and we bust that out along with one of the classic plastic pieces on the day and had a good old time with it. I also wanted to mention the drums. Now, I had these in the loft for a little while, brought them down. They were working last time I went up there. Something clearly had gone wrong. I'd had some battery leakage or something inside them. And I don't leave my batteries in, and I don't know how this had even happened. But there was some corrosion, basically, on the batteries. And I wanted to mention this because there's a really easy way to fix this, and a lot of people don't know about it. And I thought for those in the retro collecting community that haven't come across this as a simple fix, then I would share it with you. So on screen, I'm going to show you two pictures. The first one I'll be showing you now, which is what the battery compartment looked like. Now, this corrosion had coated the battery connectors at one end and corroded through onto where the wires connected to the board, and they had corroded through the wires. So when I took it apart, the positive and negative wires were not even attached. Now, I haven't got footage of this because I was frantically trying to fix it on the day before my friends all turned up for this gaming extravaganza. But what I did, very, very simple. Alkaline batteries and alkaline corrosion is neutralized with acid. And a simple and easy acid that you can get your hands on is white vinegar. So I took some white vinegar very carefully with a small toothbrush and just gently scrubbed that corrosion away until after a few different layers, because it was quite thick, it eventually went back down to the metal. With that corrosion then cleared, a simple wipe of isopropyl alcohol, and then resoldering the connections that had come away, it looked more like the image on the right, and it was done. It was good as gold. I put it all back together, very, very simple, only a handful of screws to get this thing apart. Tested it and it all worked golden. So that rescued our Guitar Hero day, because without the drums, I've got a friend who's a drummer, we'd have really struggled. So that was the first thing I wanted to share, was Guitar Hero, this amazing edition I bought. I paid about £100 for this, maybe a couple of years ago. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you on the channel, and that fix for your batteries. So let me just pop that down out of the way. The next thing I bought, and this is less a peripheral, but I want to share it with you because it's now pride and joy of my collection. It's well known I'm a Gears of War fan, and I decided to buy another Xbox 360, specifically the Gears of War Special Edition. I found a really good condition one for sale Again, I'll show you some close-ups of this, but this is the console. It's an amazing piece. Fully decked out. This was actually released for Gears of War 3, and it was released as a bundle with 2 custom controllers, which look a little bit like this. The second one's up on my controller display, both in pretty good condition. I think because these have been reconditioned with new sticks, where they've been open, there was a small amount of damage, only very tiny, on the side of the plastic, but you know, really incredible condition considering their age. And they also came with a stack of games, which I'll take you through later on. But the one I will just call out, I already own this, but I'm going to keep this one as well, for one silly reason, is Gears of War 3. I'm going to keep it because it specifically says at the bottom here, bundle copy, which is the one that would have come with this Xbox 360 bundle. I bought the Gears of War 3 Special Edition with the Marcus Phoenix statue. Again, I'll show you that in the B-roll. But I wanted to keep this one as well because of this very nature, because it came as part of this collection. So really thrilled with this console. I will also insert some footage now and just explain what it is. So there was a handful of 360 consoles that were made that had limited edition kind of noises and sounds to replace the traditional noises that the console would make. So when you power this on, and when you open the disc tray, it makes 2 Gears of War noises rather than the traditional. And there's also another console that does this that I'm super keen to get one day, which is the Star Wars Xbox 360, which is R2-D2 and C3PO as the controller. But to come back to the Gears of War console, I'm just going to insert the audio now so you can hear it, but have a listen to what the power on and off noise sounds like and what the CD draw sounds like. Okay, so that was the Gears of War Special Edition console. That will sit now in my media center as my mainline 360, and my older 360 Elite will go into storage as a backup should I have any problems with this one. Now, where to go next, because there's a bevy of things here. So I'm going to pick something that I actually wasn't overly impressed with and didn't end up getting used on the day, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why, and that is this big boy. This is the Mag 3 wireless magnetic induction controller. And when I found this, I was just doing a general search for peripherals. I thought, wow, this could be a lot of fun, because it proclaims to be usable on any first-person shooter. It kind of advertises Call of Duty as one of those games. And although technically speaking, the box says that it's for PC and PS3, all of the online sales listings said that it works on Xbox 360 and PS4. Now that is strictly true, but it's not without a whole load of faff. So one of the things that comes in this box, along with the gun, is this small USB peripheral, this little cube, which basically connects to the gun to the console. Now, the aim here is that the console has a joystick on the handle, which allows you to move around in the game, but then you do your aiming, which would typically be your right stick, with the gun itself and the gyroscope. It kind of works. But there's a couple of reasons why I found this frustrating and in the end opted not to get it out on the day. The first one is that in order to use this on an Xbox 360, you do need, I'm going to grab this now, specifically a wired Xbox 360 controller. Now, I bought this one on eBay to accompany this when I realised, because I bought this through first, didn't buy one of these and then found this out while problem solving. The reason for that is, I guess, is that this passes through the presence of an Xbox 360 controller and allows the console to think that there is a controller connected when in fact you're using this. Now, on the controller itself, getting it connected was an absolute ball ache. When I finally did get it connected, the button mapping just didn't seem to map sensibly to Call of Duty at all. You could move around, you could shoot, but it was really fiddly. Aiming was fine, but turning was a nightmare because you had to really sort of turn the gun at a pace to get it to turn, but then fine-tuned aiming was done by slower movements, and I think you could possibly get used to it over time, but for me, I was overall quite disappointed with this. Most eBay sellers have these listed at £40 brand new. This one was actually only $17.99 on eBay, so I picked that one up when I saw it. So I don't mind for what it cost, and it was novelty and fun. I could in the future do a full-blown video on it if you're interested, but overall, a little bit disappointed with that one. while we're talking about controllers, I'll just touch on this little peripheral as well, which was a love of mine back in the day. This is actually my friend's one, so he donated a couple of controllers on the day and then kindly left them with me. And we both had one of these, which was the Xbox 360, get your words out, James, messenger pad. Now, I remember this being invaluable when it came to sending quick messages on Xbox Live, and I used mine an awful lot. It never left my pad, and in fact my original is still on my original pad. It's just boxed, ready to go away, because I'm now using the Gears of War one. But yeah, the messenger pad was absolutely invaluable as a peripheral back in the day, and I now have 2 of them in the collection along with a couple of donated controllers, so thank you to my friend who kindly gave me those. Right, let's go with something we actually didn't get to on the day, but I hope one day I will bust out for other reasons. So I'm just going to move some bits around, apologies for the microphone noise, and that is this big fella. So again, I'll insert some B-roll. This is the Tony Hawk Ride skateboard. Now, I know these were supposed to be rubbish and the games were poor. That's not why I bought them. I bought them for the fun of them. They were super cheap. I think this one cost me just over £10. And I bought this one frantically just after Christmas. So thank you to the seller who got this through so quickly. Because I previously bought, and the game we were going to play it with, was the sequel to Tony Hawk Ride, which was this big one. Let me just grab it. Oh, try to avoid some clanging. Here we go. And that is Tony Hawk Shred. Now, Tony Hawk Shred was the sequel. I'll just flip it over so you can see the board that's actually wrapped in here. It's this one, it's bright red. Got it all set up. It did have some battery corrosion and rust within the, was rust actually, not corrosion, inside the board itself, which was really annoying because the seller didn't highlight that. And what had actually happened is the rust was so bad that it had rusted away part of the springs. So it's probably fixable in the future. But basically what happened was you put the batteries in, every time you stood on it and applied any weight, I imagine you were dislodging the battery slightly and it kept disconnecting. So I had to frantically buy a replacement. So I decided to buy the Ride one so that I'd have one of each when I eventually get round to repairing this. The reason I bought Shred rather than Ride was that Shred had a snowboarding mode, which I thought would appeal to one of my friends who's a big snowboarder, or snowboard lover. I don't think he does it so much these days. We never actually got around to playing it on that day, but I'm sure it'll come out again in the future for a bit of fun. I had a go at it to test it, and I have to say, controlling the game with the board, it's not fun. It's just not fun at all, and it's not very responsive, but it is what it is. So, we've done skateboards, we've done guns, we've done music. Stick with the music theme, and we'll come back to music, and I want to talk about these. And these are the Lips microphones from the Lips series of games. I found a seller online that had was selling the black and the white, which is what the game typically came with. Upon arrival, the white one had some battery corrosion problems. I did manage to fix it after some work, but in the interim, they sent me a replacement, which is very good of them. So now I have 3, if I ever need 3. These were great fun. I'm not a big karaoke fan, and in fact we never used them at the gaming day because it turns out none of my mates are either. I really bought these for my wife and, as it turns out, my daughter, who both of them ended up taking up the entire evening that I had planned and put aside to test all of this by just playing Lips. I've got it in the little pile of games here behind me. I'll just grab them very quickly. I'll just move these around. There were, in fact, 4 of these in the game series, but back in the day I only owned the mainline first release, so I did have this back in the day. My wife loved it. We used to use it at parties with those who were more willing to sing. But as well as the classic Lips, they also brought out Lips Isle of the 80s, and that was a lot of fun. There's some good tracks on there for those of us old enough. Lips #1 hits. There's all sorts of random stuff on here. Lady Gaga seems to be the prominent image on the back. And then Lips Party Classics, 80s and 90s. So, you know, honestly, they're the right era for me in terms of music. It also turned out that I had some DLC I'd bought back in the day, which I was able to re-download and use with these. So we actually had, I think, about 130 odd tracks in combination to choose from. And you could hot swap the discs in and out within one of the games once you'd let the game recognise you had the others. So that actually worked quite well. So that was Lips. Again, really intuitive microphones, wireless, but really clever games. I know we had SingStar on the PlayStation, which had the wired mics. I do own those as well. Bought those in the hope that the kids would get into it, and they weren't as bothered. But Lips went down really, really well. And I think it was the wireless addition to a lot of these peripherals that really set them apart from the previous generation. So PS2 Guitar Hero wired, PS2 SingStar wired, racing wheels, which we'll come on to in a second, wired. Whereas when you start to move to the Xbox, because of the technology they've got baked into that console, it was so much slicker, so much better for things like wireless skateboard, wireless microphones, all the stuff we've seen. And again, another one of those extensions, which I think the peripheral was better, but the games honestly weren't, was this little beauty here, which is Scene It. So inside this box, you've got 4 of the wireless quiz controllers. These were obviously a direct rip-off of the Buzz controllers from the PlayStation 2. Now, I think Buzz is an arguably better game series. There were more of them. They were more fun. Buzz as a character, voiced by Jason Donovan, if you didn't know that, is a better series. But these, I think, are easier to handle, because if you tried to pick up a Buzz set of controllers several years later or dug them out of a box, they are like headphone cables. They managed to knock themselves in some magical way, and with 4 strands of these long cables coming out of a central USB hub, they're just an absolute nest of cables to try and unravel. These, obviously wireless, much easier. They do use infrared. There's a receiver, so it did mean at times if you weren't sort of pointing the controller, or there was a blind spot and that receiver couldn't see your controller, people felt like they missed a connection. That was probably more to do with our setup on the day. A lot of fun though. The game, obviously the quiz itself has aged poorly. There's some old movies in there now or some obscure movies that maybe weren't popular on these shores, at least in Britain. But again, really interesting peripheral. I think it was one of those that maybe didn't get enough good software made for it to really optimize it. And then on to the last real peripheral, but probably the one that got the most use on the day with my friends and was the most exciting. My daughter also got in on the act at some point, although I don't think she was quite as good at it as the guys were. And that is the Xbox 360 wireless steering wheel, the official Microsoft one. So it comes in 3 parts. So this is the least interesting bit, but this is the table clamp that went underneath the main wheel. So the wheel could be used on your lap. It had little rubber grips, or you could bolt it to a table, which is what we did. And I'll show you a picture of that setup on the day as well, so you can see kind of how we laid the room out. So I had 2 of these bolted to a table. I got these at a bargain price, so I think I mentioned the price of most of the other stuff. These were the ones that blew me away the most, because I owned one of these back in the day, and I'm sure I paid it well in excess of £100 for the wheel when it was new. 360 prices are on the rise, so if you're a collector of 360, get in on it now, because prices are starting to go up. But I got both of these wheels, separate sellers, for, I can't remember the exact price of each of them, but they averaged £25 per wheel, which is insane for what they are and the quality of them. So you've got the wheel clamp for the table, you've got the pedals, so simple brake and accelerator, little rubber grips, so these were pretty good at holding steady on the ground. Probably would benefit from being kind of locked into some sort of a base or a carpet or something, but they were pretty good, to be honest, on a wood floor. And then of course none of that really does anything without the main part of the show, which is the steering wheel. Now, like I said, this is a lap based, so these are kind of like textured to sort of sit on your lap. But you've got the wheel, you've got the paddles at the back, you've got your buttons on the front just to kind of control the experience. There's a simple cable that links the wheel and the pedals together. I did have a problem with one of them that I bought, which was that the cable clearly at some point had been yanked and was a bit temperamental. So I bought a replacement on eBay. Surprised that people even sell them. Both can be charged with batteries, or so run with batteries, so simple 2 AA's will do the job, much like an Xbox controller, but they're also mains powered, and both of them came with the mains connector, and that's how we ran them on the day. Obviously wireless connection to the Xbox itself, but these were so much fun, coupled with the relevant experiences. And I bought a few racing games, I'll show you in a second, but of the 2 games, the one I thought would be the most popular ended up being less popular than one of the more arcadey games, which I think generated overall more fun. As I said, I bought 2 of these. Now, which one did I dig out of the box? I got the right one. So one of them came in a box, a very battered box, and one of them came unboxed, and in fact I collected this one. And bizarrely on the bottom, and again I'll get you some B-roll of this, someone had etched on either side of where the mount goes, gifted on Facebook, not for resale, exclamation mark. I did buy it, so therefore it was resold, so naughty naughty to whoever it was that did that, but it did tickle me that someone had gone out of their way to etch that into the bottom, not once, but twice, so that you could see it, whether it was this way around or this way around. So that did tickle me. The other one, as I said, came in a box. It was very battered. I think it came from a charity shop eBay account. Both of which now I bought special plastic containers or big tubs to protect these, because they can't live in this office. There's just not enough space. They will be going up into the loft, but I am mindful of making sure that they are kept away from, you know, cold and damp as much as possible. So protective boxes to try and aid that. And as I said, all these peripherals would have been fun, but not much use without relevant games to tie them in. So I bought a stack of games. First of all, I'm going to take you through the stack that came with the Gears console. I got that at such a good price. I can't remember exactly what I paid for it. Something like £120, I think. And there were boxed versions. I did consider a boxed version, and then I decided that I didn't need the box too much. So I went for an unboxed one, but one that came with a good bundle, because actually there were games in that bundle that were useful to me. So first of all, I'll start with those that were actually duplicates of games in my collection, but they were great games nonetheless. So first of all, we had Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I don't need to say much about that. An absolute Xbox 360 classic. I played so much of this back in the day, more so than Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and then and also more so than the sequel that followed this, Modern Warfare 3. But this was my absolute favourite. I'm not a big fan of the sort of more historic shooters they do, like World at War or Black Ops, but love the Modern Warfare series, and this one specifically. Back in the day, multiplayer, oh my god. So good. Touched about this series already, but as well as Gears of War 3 that came with the console, it also came with Gears of War 2. I already have the special edition version of this, so this will just go in a duplicate pile to get rid of at some point. I'm happy to give any of these duplicates away, so if someone wants one of these duplicates specifically, let me know in the comments, and I'm sure we can sort something out. I'll send it to you. You know, they're not worth anything. Not a series I've played, but I do already own in my collection. I picked it up a few months ago, is Dead Space. Again, pretty good condition, so that was another duplicate. And then I'm sure everyone owns a copy of this. I've got several copies on different consoles now. Grand Theft Auto 5, an absolute classic on the 360 as well. So those were the duplicates that came with that console. I also then had, mentioned earlier, Gears of War 3. Couple of Call of Duty games again, so Call of Duty Black Ops, I'm going to keep that one for the collection. I didn't already have it, as well as Call of Duty Black Ops 3. And then we got a game off the Xbox 360 top 10 list, actually, funnily enough, which was Minecraft Xbox 360 edition, so I shall keep that one for the collection. I've also then got Perfect Dark Zero Classics. I don't collect the classics. I do have the steelbook of this. I got it recently, maybe again late last year, I think. So I'm probably going to keep hold of that, I think. I'm not quite sure what to do. If anyone really wants that as a burning desire for the classics, I don't collect the classics or the platinums and things like that, then let me know. Operation Flashpoint Dragon Rising. I believe this is quite a hard shooter, not one that I'll be putting too much time into. And then another one off the top 10 list was the winner of over 80 Game of the Year awards, The Walking Dead. I think it's just season 1, the Telltale Games game. So a kind of ridiculous bundle really for what I paid for it, considering that the main attraction was the actual special edition console and the 2 controllers in excellent condition. So yeah. Then from a games point of view, so these were the games I picked up specifically for gaming day, and not all of them got used. So I actually bought this, but it didn't turn up on time, which was a shame. So I bought FIFA 14. Just wanted to pick up an old FIFA. Turns out I actually had the disc loose in one of my games collection boxes. I don't usually keep loose discs. I can't remember why I even had it. But this was a steelbook, and it cost me absolutely nothing really. It's got like a lenticular cover of Lionel Messi on there. It's the Gareth Bale slipcover, if that makes any difference. And I bought that, but it didn't turn up in time for the day, but it came a week or so afterwards. So yeah, one of those things. I had already got, though, I think it came with the bundle, the Gears of War bundle, FIFA 15, so we played that instead, and we had a couple of rounds on FIFA, which was a good laugh. 2 on 2, always good fun. I'm a WWE fan, I think I've mentioned that before. A Royal Rumble always goes down well with me and my friends, so we popped in WWE versus SmackDown 2011. On the day, we just had the one Royal Rumble from start to finish. That was a lot of fun. None of us had a clue how to play the game. We worked it out as we went, and we enjoyed that greatly. We mentioned this earlier, Tony Hawk Shred, so that didn't get played, but would have been nice to have got that going if we could. Then I bought, didn't realise this game series existed. I own a couple of these games separately on the 360, but I thought this was quite a sort of compelling bundle and it would give my friends some choice. And I dug a few games out of my collection as well, but this was bought specifically for the day. And that is the Xbox 360 Fighting Edition. And it basically includes 3 games from Bandai Namco. You've got Tekken Tag Tournament 2, which is the one I owned, Tekken 6 and Soul Calibur 5, which I don't own. And basically inside here, it is what you'd expect. It's just 3 discs stacked up, one for each game, but it's all 3 of them in one package. I didn't pay a lot for it, and I thought that might be unique enough that it could be worth something in the future. And, 3 great games there to choose from. We ended up playing a bit of Tekken Tag and a little bit of Street Fighter, which I'd also got out on the day. Then we're on to the driving games. So the one that never got played, but I bought it because I love the series anyway, is Burnout Paradise. Specifically, I bought the Ultimate Box. So this comes with all the DLC and all the extras and the motorcycle experience. I owned this back in the day. I think I'd long since sold it. I'm pretty sure I have the remaster on, it's either PS4, might have had it on the Switch, can't remember what I bought it on. But I thought I'd pick this up because it worked with the wheels, at least it was advertised to, but we never got around to playing it. We did, though, play Forza 4. I picked up the Steel Edition, super cheap on eBay. That was a lot of fun. Obviously a slightly more simulation racing game, so a little bit more serious. The guys enjoyed it, it was good fun. But the one that really won everybody over, and I think we had the most fun with, was what we moved on to, and that is Dirt 3. Now, I've played a few of the Dirt games over the years, never really sat down and played any racing game properly, not since probably Forza 3, to be honest. But this was so much fun, and the graphics really held up, and what surprised us, I think, throughout the day was just how playable all the Xbox 360 games really were. Yes, they're not as good as the PS4, PS5, and the like. Clearly, they're not going to be. But if you go back to something like a PS1, they're quite hard to play. PS2, on an old school TV, they hold up quite well. Put them on a modern TV, they really don't. We were playing the Xbox 360 in my dining room on our big sort of 53 inch TV on the wall, and these still looked great. They still held up really well, completely playable. Dirt 3's got a really nice kind of stylized look to it. Apologies for that. I was just about talking about and ending my conversation around Dirt 3 when the Ace Pro decided to turn off because the battery was getting too low to continue recording, and it wouldn't let me restart it unless I charged it. So I've moved over here to finish the video off. It was the last game to cover, so not the end of the world, but I thought I'd move back over here just to wrap us up. So I guess what I was saying just before it cut me off was that we really kind of enjoyed playing the 360. Revisiting it was a lot of fun. The games held up well. The controller still feels great. Some of the accessories were a lot of fun. All of them were worth kind of playing around with, the ones that we got to on the day. The wheel was by far the most popular, I think. And although not as good as the racing rigs that we have now, or even some of the Logitech devices from back in the day, which I personally thought were probably better for an arcadey experience, which is what the 360 really brings. And for some of those driving games, it was really fun. So I highly recommend picking one of those up if you can get one cheap like I did near you. As I said, surprisingly cheap, all of those accessories really on eBay. They'll all be getting boxed up neatly and well looked after, and I'm sure they'll come out time and time again for fun in the future. So I won't let the video run any longer. I think we've done enough there for this one. Hopefully you found that interesting. Hopefully I brought back some memories for you. Again, 360, what a console, what a time to be a gamer that was. Some seriously fun memories, and I've got a a sort of Xbox 360 adjacent bit of fun to do at some point for a future video, which we're not going to deep dive the 360 a little bit and give you some facts, kind of RetroQuest like, except for I'm not going to be playing a game, I'm going to be building something Xbox 360 related. So I'll leave you with that little tease. Thank you again for joining and watching the video. If you haven't subscribed already, as always, please do so to help the growth of the channel. It really does support what we're trying to do here. Leave a comment below, let me know what you thought about the accessories I picked up. Were there any of the peripherals that I didn't get that you fondly remember that they're worth me checking out? I'm still happy to grow that peripheral plastic collection for my 360 if there's good stuff out there. Leave a comment below, let me know what your thoughts were. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.